Loud.
Okay, awesome. Welcome to Fresno City Toastmasters. I am past president, Farron, acting as president today to fill in for Chanel. She's not feeling well today, and we are meeting entirely on Zoom, not in person. Let's see, club business. We did have a meeting yesterday. We discussed a new location. We're tabling that for now. We're still trying to find different options for the location of our in-person meetings. Anything else that we should bring up, team, about?
We have the dues coming up for those renewing. That will be the end of this month, the end of this March month. And that is, again, I think we're given that option of what, 50, 55, 60, whatever. Our normal thing is 60, but with the whole COVID thing, we've given people the option. So if you can give 60, give 60. If you can give 55 and give 50, then give what you can. Those are just renewing members, obviously not for the brand new ones. And I will see fresnotm@gmail.com, and that's PayPal. So it just makes it easy to send it over there and see if you can send it. If you send it as a friend and not as a service, just so that we can save on the credit card fees. So that's our PayPal address there. So it's kind of an informal announcement now. We'll maybe make another announcement at the end, and then I'll send an email out to everybody.
Thank you, Joey.
Yep.
Anything else that I'm missing, board?
I don't think so.
Most was about the location yesterday.
Yeah. I forgot to take photos of the location that I had brought up last night. So sorry, but
Okay.
I'll do that tomorrow. I work tomorrow, so I'll be there.
Okay.
Cool. All right, then I would like to introduce the Toastmaster of the day, Heather Davis.
Thank you, Farron. So as a Toastmaster for the day, I'll just be setting the tone for the meeting, introducing our general evaluator, who will then introduce the rest of the team that have roles today. The theme of the day is that it's okay to be different. Reflecting on that growing up, I remember just wanting so desperately just to fit in, to be normal, because I always felt different. But as I've gotten older, and I feel like the rest of the world has come to the same conclusion, that we're all just kind of faking it till we make it, that none of us are really the same, that we're all different, and that's okay. And I think that our community also is embracing those differences as well. So it's great to see us all come together and seeing some really beautiful things come from the different and from the weird. So I'm excited to hear some of the table topics today, if we get to talk about anything related to that theme. But from here, I'm going to go ahead and introduce our general evaluator today, Ms. Kaylani.
Thanks, Heather. I put it in the chat if someone could go ahead and give me the list of the filled in roles. I was wrapping up a couple things while we were deciding who was going to take on those roles, so I may need some assistance here. No, that's okay.
Yeah, so your grammarian is Heather.
Yeah.
All counter is myself. Timer is Joey. Zoom master is Joey.
With 0 speeches today, correct?
Correct.
All right, let's get going. Thank you, Heather, for introducing me. I will go ahead and introduce our grammarian of the day, who will introduce the word that we will get credit for using, whether in our speech, our table topics, and or in our regular conversations. And that is going to be Miss Heather.
Hello again. Thank you, Kaylani. So I'm going to put this in the chat so everybody can see it. The word of the day is lucky. I figured since it's the first day of March and it's all about St. Patrick's Day and the luck of the Irish, I thought that would be fun to try and incorporate in our conversation today. So the definition is having, bringing, or resulting from good luck. Hey, that person was lucky. They scored a 50% discount at the thrift store. So things like that, however you can fit that into your conversation today. And I will pass that back to Kalani.
Thanks, Heather. I think that was a pretty great word, especially with it's okay to be different and the holiday, not holiday, coming up. We're going to pass the torch to our counter, which is Ms. Farron, and who is also our acting president of the day.
Thank you, Kalani. I will be your counter today. I will keep track of the crutch words that we often use in place of pauses. These sound like so, and, but, things like that. I will keep track of them and report to you back at the end of the meeting.
Fantastic. Thanks, Farron. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our timer of the day. It's going to be Mr. Joey Myers, and he's also our Zoom master of the day.
Thank you, Kaylani. So I'm going to be doing the timing. For those that are here, you better be lucky that we have a timer, especially when I'm talking. And we will only have, so no speakers, no evaluators. We'll just have our table topics, which are 1 to 2 minutes. And when we do that, I will go green at 1 minute, yellow 1.5 minutes, and then red at 2 minutes with my virtual background. I'll also audibly say it as well, so that we all can, if like for hearing impaired, we can know where we're at on our timing. So I'll be do that on the timing. On the Zoom, we'll be doing the whole, trying to get you in the whole screen. If you're talking, say if it's for table topics, although we do that kind of in this whole pane here, so you can see everybody. I still got my red on here. Let me pull off my red. It's got to be more green for this month anyway, right? It's got to be more this way. Anyway, so I'll be making sure that we're getting a good flow through this virtual meeting for Toastmasters and getting it recorded, put up to the cloud, and we'll upload it to YouTube afterwards. Back to you, Kaylani.
Thanks, Joy. I like the screen in the background. I still have yet to get that, but I think that's the most efficient and most visually appealing way to time, I think, since we started the Zoom calls.
You can thank Farron. Farron figured it out.
Thank you, Farron. All right. Sorry, I have 2 screens going on right here. Since we don't have any speeches prepared today, I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch back to Ms. Heather Davis, who is our Toastmaster of the day, to possibly introduce our table topics.
Yes, thank you, Kaylani. Let me bring up the agenda. I apologize for not remembering. The table topic master, who is it?
Sarah.
Sarah's taking it.
Sorry, Sarah. So I'm going to be introducing our table topic master, Miss Sarah Dawson. Take it away.
Yay, everybody. So glad you're all here. Table topics is a great fun time. Everybody to be able to answer some questions on the fly and be able to just speak about what you want. You have 1 to 2 minutes to be able to do that. I have just posted 3 questions in the chat. I will read them to you right now. Number 1, so you can pick any one of these 3. Anybody's allowed to participate in this portion of it. So number 1 is there a time when you acted differently than others? Were you okay with this, and why or why not? So that question is there a time that you acted differently than others? Were you okay with this, why or why not? Question number 2 is, do you think it is okay to be different? And tell us about your opinion. And number 3 is the opposite of that. Do you think it is okay to do things like others do it? Tell us about your opinion. So would anybody like to go first on any of those questions? Nope. Can I pick somebody? All right. Let's see. Who has the closest to the first initial closest to the middle of the alphabet? Let's see. Let's see. I think it. Oh,
Probably
Mike.
me,
First name or last name?
but I can go
name.
anyway. I can volunteer.
All right, yay. Go for
You
it,
guys are
Kalani.
gonna hate me, but how many minutes do I have?
1 to 2 minutes.
1 to 2 minutes.
So sorry, I'm just getting a call for a storage facility right now. I will volunteer right after this call.
Perfect. Mike, you want to go?
I will absolutely go.
Yay, go Mike.
Let me work out some of my ahs and ums before I start.
Like that.
I would like to choose question 2. if I could, please. Do you think it's okay to be different, and tell us about your opinion? I think that question, when I read it, made me think of a book that I read by an autistic lady named Temple Grandin. She's like the most famous one so far. You might have heard her. There's a couple movies about her as well. But she said this quote, and I'm going to mess it up, so I apologize. But this is kind of like how it went and the basis. I was going to look it up why the first person went, but the quote went something like this. Do you think in the caveman days, she was reflecting on everyone being in a social group, and she was talking about, when it was time to go to rocks to more sharp weapons. Do you think that caveman was looking at that rock, with intent and detail, or do you think he was the caveman was some yak in front of the fire telling a story? And so the probably
Green.
the person that made, in my opinion, made the rock into a spear, and someone with a different mindset and an ability to see things in a different light. I think that's what progression is about, and I think it happens in every story we read in history, and it's very exciting to be human because different has a chance to
Yeah.
make the difference. So that's what I believe. Thank you very much.
I love it, Mike. Thank you so much for sharing. It's true. The people who think a little bit differently often are the ones who are the explorers and innovators, and we need those. And we also need the people who, maybe that's next week's topic, leaders and followers. But yeah, we also need those who follow. So thanks for sharing that. I hadn't heard that story before.
I think there's a good reason why there's a lot of scientists not in front of cameras.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. All right. Somebody want to volunteer? I'll read the questions again. Is there a time when you have acted differently than others? Were you okay with this? Why or why not? Number 2 is, do you think it is okay to be different? Tell us about your opinion. And number 3 is, do you think it is okay to do things like others do? Tell us about your opinion. So I think Kalani is not quite back with us yet. So Joey, you want to go?
Yes, ma'am. Let me start off my timer here. All right, I'm going to go with it's a little mishmash of all three. So we have,
Okay.
Is there a time when you acted differently than others? Do you think it is okay? My favorite quote is from Mark Twain. One of my favorite quotes is from Mark Twain. And he says something like, if you find yourself on the side of the majority, it's time to pause and reflect. So one of my good friends is a physical therapist, and we had a podcast episode for my baseball site the other day, or my baseball podcast. And she said something that was kind of interesting. And we were just talking about human movement. And she said that when you take a step, when you're walking, every step you take is different. Every step you take is different. To the naked eye, to the normal person that isn't in physical therapy and doesn't have that kind of knowledge base, you're going to look at somebody walking and you're going to see the same step every time. But the brain, the way it goes with the body, is there's always some adjustment that's happening. And I talk to my hitters about it all the time. You have to constantly be making adjustments when you are hitting, performing, mechanically, whatever. You always have to make adjustments. And I think it also goes for us intellectually, that when we find, again, ourselves on the side of majority, we need to pause and reflect. There needs to be some sort of adjustment being made. And when it comes to science cannot be used it can't be trusted. It needs to be questioned. And that's the basis of science. And as long as we're continuing to question, we're going to continually learn, and we're going to continually sharpen the sword. And that's my thoughts coming back from Mark Twain. So whether it's good to act differently than others or not good to act differently than others, I think the answer is yes to both.
Nice. Thank you, Joey. Both are okay. Absolutely. Who's next?
I'll go.
Yay, Heather.
So I'll answer number one. Honestly, I've always felt different my whole life. I don't know why it is that way. Maybe it's something to do with my brain. I don't know, but I just have always felt not quite similar to everybody else. I feel like I could fake it till I make it, but ultimately, you know, I'm okay with being the odd one out just because I have been for so long. But I say that with like a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Like, I'm not mad at that. Me being different my whole life has made me realize that really we're all different. We're all in the same boat. I have that perspective of, like I said, faking it till you make it. And I think some people are really, really good at faking it. And I've just come to the decision or the idea that it's okay that I don't have it all figured out. And I'm just putting my freak flag out there and just being open to everybody and just, you know, telling them that it's okay to be different and have different ideas. I don't think that it's necessarily a bad thing. I think everybody has the right to be heard. Now, whether or not the things that they're talking about, you know, should be talked about is another conversation. But I really do feel that people should have the opportunity to be listened to and to, you know, have conversations like this, because it's these conversations that make you realize that, oh, okay, I'm not the only one in that boat, that other people are feeling that same way. And yeah, I feel pretty lucky to have a group of people that I can be open and honest with and talk about these things. And that's my answer for number one.
Thank you, Heather. Looks like just enough time too. All right, Ray or Farron, either one of you guys want to go? Ray?
I can take a shot at this. I probably will
Go
like.
Ray.
Thank you. I'd probably like to take a shot at actually number one and number two, if I can, within the time frame. Being different is probably something that I've faced my whole life as someone that has a disability. I'm visually impaired / legally blind. I grew up with this condition my whole life, and going through school, I've always had that feeling as someone being different because I stuck out a lot. I went to general ed schooling. I did everything as what a normal student would do, but I still felt different because I had assisted aides in my classes, teachers, extra supports, technology. Everyone asked me, why does this student have a big old laptop? What makes him different than everyone else? Or why does he get to be lucky enough to skip out of PE for some of the tasks that PE drills that we had to do? But different, feeling differently in the past made me feel uncomfortable, but now currently in the position I am, it makes me feel more empowered, because being normal and sometimes can be where you fall in that line of everything is normal and everyone's status quo and standardized and things like that. Being different gives people the oh my gosh, he has a different way of thinking about life, different ways of doing things, and different way of approaching life. And one of the biggest things that I find now that a lot of people are interested in me being different is being a parent with a visually impaired. I have two lovely children that are under 3, and I'm blind. My wife is not. And balancing that is very different for people and parents to understand. How does that happen? So I think it's okay to be different, but at the same time, I just honestly think it's okay to be different, and that's what I grew up with, and that's what I continue to grow up with and preach. So
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Ray. That's fantastic. I love hearing that it actually makes you feel empowered, and to go from it feeling awkward to be empowering is really cool to hear that. So thank you very much. Farron, it looks like Kalani's back. Farron, Kalani, you want to go next? Yeah. Kalani? Okay, go for it.
I can go. Hey everyone, I will be answering question number 1. Is there a time where you have acted differently than others? Were you okay with this? Why or why not? My family, I am Afro-Latina. So I have one part of my family that's from Mexico, and the other half of my family is from New Orleans, Louisiana. This past week, I went to visit a storage facility in Baton Rouge, and afterwards we went to go visit my grandma in New Orleans. If you're not familiar with the Catholic culture, Catholic religion, our culture in New Orleans, Cajun and Creole, we celebrate Mardi Gras. I was with my boyfriend and he had never seen Mardi Gras. Today is the official day, but the parades actually begin all the way in January. So I thought, what better way to embrace him into my side of the culture than taking him down Bourbon Street and the French Quarter and exposing him to all that. Now, with exposing him to that part of my family, I also had to expose him to my actual family down there. And when I say my family is flamboyant, it is an understatement.
Green.
Particularly when it comes to the women in my family. My grandma comes from 8 sisters and 2 brothers. And I don't think they understand the term of a sailor's mouth, but I absolutely 100% inherited that from them. And here are these 70-year-old ladies out here cussing up a storm at each other, being loud, walking through the French Quarter with us, taking tequila shots. And
Yellow.
as loud and as proudful as I am, I was always the one that was a lot more quiet. I was the more reserved one, the more the wallflower. And it took me a really long time to be comfortable with that, because when you're used to a lot of people who are as flamboyant as them, and being a Latina on my other side of the family is just as loud, sometimes it's nice to kind of be that voice of reason at times when needed. And I developed the skill of de-escalating situations very fast. And that is why I think it's a time where I've acted differently than others, and why I'm completely okay with this, because I turn it into life skills.
It's fantastic. I love hearing these stories. It's like these overcoming and just, yeah, awesome. I love it. Thanks. I don't know what else to say to that, but we'll go on to the next one. Farron, do you want to go next?
Yeah, I can go. Can somebody keep track of my crutch words, please?
Yes.
Like Joey, I will take kind of a mashup of all of the questions here. I want to apply this to work. I am lucky enough to work as a yoga instructor. And this is something that we talked about in yoga teacher training with my mentors. They said it is okay to be different. You don't have to be a cookie cutter version of other yoga teachers where you take their class and then you take exactly what they did and what they say and you bring that into your own class. It's fine to take bits and pieces, but it's preferable to do your own thing, be your own person, have your own teaching voice. And everyone brings something different to the table. We have 11 different instructors at our yoga studio, and we like to look at different students and see who they tend to gravitate towards. And we call them our groupies. I have some Farron groupies who come to each and every one of the classes that I teach, or as many as they can. And just as well as all the other teachers, they have their own groupies. And it's because we each bring something different to the table, where whether it's something that we share about our personal life or the physical aspect that we put into it. My classes are known to be some of the tougher classes because I came to yoga for the physical practice, not so much the spiritual practice. So my classes are super physical, very challenging, but people love that and they resonate with that. And that's why they seek out my classes on the schedule. So I think it is very good to be different, but at the same time, it's still yoga. We're all teaching yoga. We use similar cues to guide people into different positions. And there's a list of yoga postures and they all have certain names. So it's good to rely on those names so that people feel comfortable and they know what they're doing and getting into, but we can all give our own little flavor and flair to it. So I really love that. I feel lucky to be a yoga instructor.
That's fantastic. I love hearing that. That totally makes sense that you would be the tough one and get there, because you don't back down from a challenge and you'll just face it. And if I had to pick one, I probably would pick yours anyway. I'm not a fan of yoga. I walked down and after 20 minutes, I'm like, I'm gonna go for a run instead.
When I used to teach yoga, some of you know this about me, I used to call it Joey yoga or joga. So my groupies would say, hey, we're taking yoga today.
You taught it?
Yup.
I did not know that.
Just like you. That's what I should have done in our thing yesterday, huh? Our, what was it?
Yeah.
Two truths
I
and
would
a
have
lie.
never guessed that you taught yoga.
I did it for probably
Yeah.
4, 5, 6 years.
Wow, that's crazy. Farron, did you know that? You did that?
I did. I knew that.
I told her.
Ah. But that's why you didn't do it, because you would have guessed it.
Yeah, she would have known.
Yeah. Well, so it looks like we have a little bit more time, so I will go ahead and answer one of these questions too. I like number one, is there a time when you acted differently than others? Were you okay with this? Why or why not? I remember back in high school, I was kind of relating a lot with Heather. I felt like I was super awkward, always the weird one out. Most of the people on my team were popular people, and I was just this awkward, weird person who just thought I played soccer back then. And one night we had to do this overnight thing where you stay at the school all night long and go hang out with each other to become closer teammates. And it felt really weird and awkward. And then they brought out the Ouija board, which for those of you who know me, I'm not a Ouija board person. I love Jesus very much. And so this was like complete opposite of what is okay with me. And so I just had to walk off all by myself. And so I think being different can be very good when you stand up for what you believe in. It also is awkward and it can be very lonely. And I think it caused me to be lonely because I felt very much like the outsider on the team, even though, I was very good at soccer and I loved to play and I loved to be a part of the team. But it was just a very difficult time when, in those types of situations, you don't really want to be on the outside. You want to be able to have friends and that kind of thing. So I very much love that I was able to stand up for what I believed in, despite the awkwardness. And I think eventually people saw that and were even drawn to that later in life. Maybe not in high school as much, but I think later on people respected that. And so, yes, I think it's okay to be different, and I love that. So there you go. Would anybody else so it's 12:37. We probably have a few more minutes because we don't have any other evaluations. Would anybody else like to answer a question or talk about a question that's not on here, just to get practice? Okay, with no responses, I will pass. Oh, go ahead. Yeah, Farron, you want to?
I can share a story, a thing that I use in yoga sometimes.
Yeah.
If you don't mind.
Yes.
Great. It happens to go along with the word of the day, not necessarily the theme, but using the word lucky. And it's just a different way to think about luck. I'm trying to remember exactly how the story starts. I think it's a Chinese farmer, and one day his only horse runs away, and this is the horse he uses to plow his field, and the horse runs away. And so all his neighbors are like, oh, that's such bad luck, your horse ran away. And he said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? That horse comes back with 5 other wild horses, and he trains all of these horses to work his field. So now he can expand his field and be more prosperous in his farming. And all of his neighbors are like, oh, wow, that was good luck. And he said, good luck, bad luck, who knows? His son is out there with the wild horses, taming them, helping to plow the fields. And one of the wild horses gets crazy, kicks the son, and breaks his leg. So then, of course, the neighbors say, oh, what terrible luck that is. And the farmer says, bad luck, good luck, who knows? Then, excuse me, the army comes around, they're going to war, and they're basically drafting people. And they can't accept the son because his leg is broken from the horse accident. And all the neighbors are like, oh, we all had to send our sons, but you get to keep yours here at home. That's such good luck. And the farmer's like, bad luck, good luck, who knows? I can't remember the end of the story,
Yellow.
but you get the point, right? You get the point that sometimes things happen and we think it's terrible. It turns out to be a blessing in disguise. And then sometimes good things happen and then they turn out to not be for the better. So you never know how your luck is going to turn out.
Awesome. I feel very lucky to have heard that. Thank you.
Sorry, I can't remember the end of it. That's terrible.
I thought you were joking about that. I thought that was part of the joke or something.
That's like
really
telling a
don't.
joke and then not getting to the punchline. But we could pretty much figure out what that was.
Yeah, you gave us the moral of the story. It was great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Farron. And I think I will get to turn it back over to Kalani for our general evaluation for the evaluations at the end. Go, Kalani.
Sarah.
Thanks, Sarah. Farron, I really enjoyed that last part that you mentioned. The reason why is because I think it also forces us to take a different perspective, or to introduce the opportunity to take a different perspective on what luck actually is. And it is something that I've spoken about in past Zooms, but in a different aspect. So I really enjoyed that. Thank you for sharing and taking the challenge last minute to create something while using the word luck. I'm going to go ahead and pass the torch to our timer of the day, Mr. Joey Myers, to tell us how we did.
Thank you, Kaylani. Let's bring it up my sheet here. That we did pretty good. Oh, by the way, feedback on that. I know saying the color, but I think that helps. Ray, was that helpful or was that? You're on mute, Ray.
Either way helps me. I can see the transition, so I just focus on your screen. So
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so that helps because it's so bright.
Right. Okay. So the colors you can make out somewhat, like the.
Yeah. It's because you take over the whole background. It helps, but like I've heard books have been used for timers, but that would be a little bit more difficult for me.
Gotcha. So maybe when we use books or notepads or something to just say it. So
Yeah.
So if you have the background, we don't necessarily need to say it.
Yes. Exactly.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Good feedback. Thanks, Ray. All right, on our times, Farron, number 154, and the second time around, 148. She came in right underneath that 2. Joey, because you guys didn't get to see, I didn't change my background because I was focused on talking. 159. How about that? 1 second less. Made it. Heather, 158. 2 seconds less. Awesome. Ray, you came in at 206, so not bad. Usually in a competition, I think we have a table topics one, and I think is that 15 minutes or 15 seconds over or 30 seconds over? I think you get disqualified. So I think you get a little breathing room. I think with speeches, it's 30 seconds, but with the table topics, it might be 15. So you'd have been just fine. Sarah, 136. Awesome. Mr. Michael Ellis, 148. Awesome. And then Kaylani, she was the Joey of the day, the Joga Joey at 210. But good job. Still in that qualifying round. Thank you. Back to you.
Thanks, Joey. Next, I'm going to be introducing our all counter of the day, Miss Farron, and I'm pretty sure she is very thorough on where we need to improve, but I'm super excited to hear about it.
Kalani, I have that notorious thing of being the strict odd counter. I'm a very good listener. But we actually did really good today as a group, as a whole. Joey, I only caught 1 so. Kalani, nothing. You had 0 crutch words. So that's really awesome, especially because you had the longest table topics and you still didn't use any crutch words. That's really good. Heather, only 1 so, 1 like, and 3 us. Sarah, I caught 4 so's, 2 you knows, and 1 and yeah. And that's something that I do a lot too. When I don't know how to finish something, I'm like, and yeah. So I'm there with you. Mike, you had 8 5 us, 1 you know, and 1 and so. That is an improvement from the last time I saw you here. So good job. And Ray, I caught 3 1 and 1 so. Good job, everyone. And I don't know who kept track of mine. Was it you, Sarah?
I did, and I think I heard a kinda, and that was about it. Kinda this, and that was about it. But I was so intrigued by that last story. I'm not sure that I did a very good job of keeping track. But maybe that's a moral of the story. If you make things super interesting, then people won't pay attention to your crutch words. So there
Exactly
you go.
right.
Cool. Thank you.
Great strategy there, Sarah. I never thought about it. All right, next I'm going to introduce our grammarian of the day to talk about how people use the word of the day, lucky, Mr. Joey Myers.
It's actually me.
Oh, it's Heather. Man, I wasn't keeping track on that one.
My fault.
It's all
Heather.
good. No worries. So everyone except for Mike, I heard get lucky or put it in there. Did you say lucky at all, Mike? Did I just miss it?
Not at all. I meant to say it, but I forgot all about it.
It's all good. No worries. And Farron, you fit it in like 3 times. So good job. Good job, everybody. Pass it back to Kaylani.
I had to be different.
Exactly. Mark Twain.
All right, everyone. Thank you, Heather, for your report. Overall evaluation of the meeting, I thought went really well. Very smooth. I think we're ending it even 10, 15 minutes earlier than usual. I personally appreciate that because I have a lot going on. But anyway, I will go ahead and pass it to Madam President of the day, Ms. Farron.
Lonnie, thank you, everyone. I agree. It was a good, smooth meeting. We didn't have any of the roles filled out in the beginning, but well, we had a few, but we handled it. We got through it. Table topics were a lot of fun. So thank you, Sarah, for filling in and coming up with those questions last minute. We can fill out next week's agenda for March 8th. The meeting theme is leader versus follower. Would anyone like to be the Toastmaster for the day?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Oh, go ahead, Sarah.
Oh, either way.
Go for it.
Okay.
Fair. And the speakers, should I just move Emerson and Chanel?
Yeah, I would.
So, okay. And then Jody and Benny were supposed to be evaluators, just keep those the same as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Likely, okay. Would anyone like to be the table topics master?
Heather.
Heather? General evaluator? I can take that one. Grammarian?
I can do that one, Farron.
Okay. Our counter?
I can do it if
Okay.
I don't mind doing double roles if needed next week. So just let me know
Okay.
what you need.
And then a timer and a Zoom master.
You can just put me down for Zoom, Farron.
Okay. I can be the timer too. If not, we can fill in roles next week. I think that's it. Would anyone else like to sign up for giving speeches March 15th or 22nd? On the 15th, I have Kalani and Monica. Kalani, are you still good for the 15th?
Look at the smile on her face.
I will do my best.
Okay. And then the
Can I-
22nd?
I'll sign up for the 22nd.
Okay, perfect. I'll
Farron,
put myself down for the 22nd as well. Would anyone else like to speak?
yeah, sorry. Farron, if the 22nd is still available, I think I should have my money to Joey by then, and I would like to try to do my introduction speech.
You got it.
Icebreaker, re-icebreaker.
Cool. I'll put it down. All right, anything else that I'm missing?
No, just again, reminder on payment for the end of the month. Fresno TM, T is in Tom and M is in monkey, Fresno TM @gmail.com. Again, 50, whatever you can give, 50, 55, 60. Just so you know, 45 of it goes to Toastmasters International. That's our umbrella company, the main company. And we see, so if you give 50, then we get 5 of that. If you give 60, you get 15 of that. We get 15 of that. And we use that money for different things. We really had to spend a lot more with this whole hybrid thing because we had to get equipment and laptop and different things like that. So that's what we we spend that money on. So whatever you can give, please. And then if you can, if you're going to pay through PayPal, then do it as a friend if you can, so we can sidestep the credit card fees. And if you don't want to pay through PayPal, we can do either mailing in a check, money order. If you're going to do cash, make sure it's rolled in a paper so that people, your opportunists that are stealing mail and things like that. And let me know. Also, I'll send that in the email. I'll send my address and all that kind of stuff. You'll just send it to me. If you're going to do a check, don't make it out to me unless you want me to take that check to Yosemite Ranch or something. So make sure you make the check out to Fresno City Toastmasters, and I'll put that in the email, all the instructions on that. So there are other ways to pay. We can do credit card too. That takes a couple more steps. So we'll have to jump on a phone call and do all that stuff. But that's just a little bit behind if you don't want to do the PayPal. PayPal is the easiest, but we have other options as well. And I'll put that in the email.
Cool. Thanks, Joey. Any other closing comments, questions, concerns?
Ray?
All
No?
I'm good.
You good?
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Farron, for filling in as president at the last minute.
Yeah.
Of course.
Thank you. Good job.
My pleasure. So plan next week for a hybrid meeting again, but I really enjoy these Zoom meetings. It's just me. All right. See you guys next week.
All right. Bye, everybody. Have a
Bye.
good week.
Thank you.